You make decent money, pay your bills on time, and still feel broke every single month. That anxiety you feel isn't about your bank account, it's about something way more dangerous. Your brain is running a comparison program in the background 24/7 without your permission. And this program is designed to make you feel poor, no matter how much you actually earn. Let me introduce you to Sarah, a marketing manager making $78,000 a year. By every objective measure, she's doing better than 65% of Americans her age. But Sarah doesn't feel successful. She feels like she's falling behind. Every time she opens Instagram, she sees friends buying houses, taking vacations, and living better lives. What Sarah doesn't know is that she's experiencing something psychologists call relative deprivation. It's the gap between what you have and what you think you should have based on your comparison group. Here's the trap. Your brain doesn't compare you to the global average or even the national average. It compares you to the people in your immediate social circle and media feed. Sarah's college roommate just posted photos from her new downtown loft with floor-to-ceiling windows. What Sarah doesn't see is the $3,200 monthly rent that's crushing her friend's budget.
Her coworker just came back from Bali and won't stop talking about the trip. What Sarah doesn't know is that he put the entire vacation on credit cards and is now $4,500 in debt.
Her cousin bought a Tesla and parks it right in front at family gatherings. What nobody mentions is the 72-month loan at 6.5% interest that he'll be paying until 2030. Meanwhile, Sarah drives a paid-off Honda, has $15,000 in savings, and zero credit card debt. But she feels like the failure in the room because her brain is comparing visible consumption, not invisible wealth. This is the psychology trick that keeps you feeling poor. You're comparing your private reality to everyone else's public highlight reel. And social media has turned this natural human tendency into a 24/7 anxiety machine. A Harvard study found that people feel worse about earning $50,000 when their neighbors earn $60,000 than they feel earning $40,000 when their neighbors earn $30,000, even though they're objectively poor. Your brain doesn't care about absolute wealth, it cares about relative position. And that relative position is determined by whoever you're looking at most often. Before social media, your comparison group was maybe 50, 100 people in your actual life. Now it's thousands of people, and you're only seeing the top 1% of their carefully curated moments. Every engagement photo, every promotion announcement, every vacation selfie creates a data point. And your brain uses these data points to decide if you're winning or losing at life. But here's what makes it even worse. The algorithm shows you content that triggers emotion, so you're not getting a random sample of reality, you're getting the most triggering, comparison-inducing content possible. A University of Pennsylvania study tracks students who quit social media for just 3 weeks. Their feelings of loneliness and depression dropped significantly, even though their actual lives hadn't changed at all. The anxiety wasn't coming from their real circumstances, it was coming from the comparison loop. Remove the comparison, remove the anxiety. Now let's talk about the second layer of this psychology trick, lifestyle inflation expectations. Your brain doesn't just compare you to others, it compares your present self to your expected future self. When you were 22, making $35,000 felt amazing because you were comparing it to making zero in college. Now you're 30, making $75,000, and it feels worse because you expected to be making $100,000 by now. Your expectations grew faster than your income, so the gap between reality and expectation feels like failure. Even though you literally doubled your income, your satisfaction went down. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. You keep running, but never feel like you're getting ahead. Because every time you hit a goal, your brain immediately recalibrates what enough means. You thought $70,000 would make you feel secure, but now that you're there, you need $90,000. You thought a nice apartment would feel like success, but now you need a house to feel accomplished. This isn't personal weakness. This is how human psychology evolved. Our ancestors survived by constantly wanting more resources, so contentment was actually dangerous. But in modern society, this survival mechanism backfires completely. You're not actually poor, you're just running ancient software in a modern economic system. So here's the million-dollar question. How do you break free from this psychological trap? The answer isn't to make more money, it's to change your comparison framework entirely. Step 1. You need to audit your comparison inputs and actively control who you're measuring yourself against. Unfollow anyone who makes you feel inadequate, even if they're not doing anything wrong. This isn't about jealousy or hatred, it's about protecting your mental bandwidth from toxic comparison loops. Your brain can't tell the difference between your friend's life and a threat to your survival status. Step 2. Practice downward comparison once a day for 60 seconds. Intentionally think about people who have less than you and feel genuine gratitude for what you do have. This sounds cheesy, but research shows it's one of the fastest ways to recalibrate your satisfaction baseline. You're training your brain to compare differently, which changes how you feel without changing your bank account. Step 3. Track your invisible wealth, the assets that don't show up in photos or status updates. Write down your savings balance, your paid-off debts, your emergency fund, your retirement contributions. These numbers are your real wealth, but they're invisible to everyone, including yourself, unless you actively look at them. Most people track what they spend but never track what they've built, so they only see the outflow, never the progress. Step 4. Understand that comparison is actually costing you real money, not just happiness. Every time you buy something to keep up, you're transferring wealth from invisible assets to visible consumption. That $800 you spent on concert tickets to post on Instagram could have been $800 in your investment account. In 30 years, that's $6,400 you traded for temporary social validation. Rich people understand something poor people don't. Wealth is what you don't see. The millionaire drives a Toyota because he's optimizing for actual wealth, not the appearance of wealth. Step 5. Create a personal wealth scorecard that only you can see. Track metrics that actually matter. Net worth growth, savings rate, debt reduction, investment contributions. Check this scorecard weekly and celebrate when numbers go up, even by small amounts. You're replacing social comparison dopamine with progress-based dopamine, same brain chemical, healthier source. Now let's talk about the most dangerous comparison of all, comparing your financial journey to someone else's timeline. Your coworker bought a house at 28, so you feel behind if you're 30 and still renting. What you don't know is that her parents gave her $40,000 for the down payment. You're comparing your Chapter 5 to her Chapter 8, with completely different starting resources. Financial timelines are not standardized, they're completely dependent on starting conditions, location, industry, and luck. Comparing timelines is like comparing marathon finishing times when you started 5 miles behind. Step 6. Practice temporal comparison instead of social comparison. Compare yourself to where you were last year, not to where someone else is today. Are you better off than you were 12 months ago? That's the only comparison that actually measures your progress. If your net worth increased by $5,000 this year, you're winning, regardless of what anyone else did. Here's a reality check that might sting. Most of the people you're comparing yourself to are broke. They just look rich because they're spending money they don't have on things they don't need. The average American has $6,194 in credit card debt and $0 in emergency savings. If you have $1,000 saved and no credit card debt, you're already ahead of 50% of the country. But you don't feel ahead because you're comparing yourself to the Instagram version of reality, not actual reality. Stop comparing your blooper reel to everyone else's highlight reel. Step 7. Limit money talk with friends to honest conversations, not flex competitions. Real wealth conversations include debt, struggles, and mistakes, not just wins and purchases. When someone brags about a purchase, mentally translate it to "I just transferred wealth from my future to my present." That reframe immediately breaks the envy loop because you're seeing the hidden cost, not just the visible benefit. Step 8. Build one comparison-proof financial goal that only you care about. Maybe it's $100,000 net worth, maybe it's 6 months of expenses saved, maybe it's zero debt. This goal should be completely invisible to everyone else and totally immune to social pressure. When you hit it, you don't post about it, you just feel quietly powerful because you know what you built. The wealthiest people I know have money that nobody sees and live lives that look average from the outside. The brokest people I know have Instagram feeds that look like luxury lifestyles funded by debt and stress. Here's the final truth. Feeling poor while having money is a choice you're making with your attention. You're choosing to look at what you don't have instead of what you've built. Your brain will always find someone doing better, that's its job. Your job is to redirect that comparison energy toward your past self, not other people's curated lives. Starting today, spend 5 minutes every Sunday reviewing your progress from last month. Celebrate every win. Debt paid down, savings increased, smart financial decision made. The psychology trick that makes you feel poor is only powerful if you let it run on autopilot. The moment you take control of your comparison inputs, you take control of your financial satisfaction. You're not poor, you're just looking at the wrong scoreboard. Change what you measure, and you'll finally feel as wealthy as you actually are.